Hey, hello, hello, hello. So, David here, and we're going to talk about dads in recovery. We're going to talk about, you know, the pathway to a trusted dad. And, I'm working on this thing, and it's just like what a rabbit hole um, that we've gone down. As many of you know, it's not my first video on this subject, and I've interviewed a bunch of men, close to 50 men that I've interviewed about the subject, and of course I've been a dad in recovery for 41 years, and so I have some experience with being a dad in recovery. But what I want to talk about right now is dad's relationship with mom, and not just their mother, although that's going to come up, but the relationship with the mother of their child or children, or mothers of their children. I've got one fellow I think is in the course that has three moms. He's had children with three moms, and and things have not gone well, and and it's just like my experience is that for the most part, many men are oblivious to what's going on with mom, and even to the extent of what the hell's the matter with her, and they've sobered up and they're wondering why the relationship is still chilly, frosty, maybe icy, or even estranged, and so there's this module in the course. I'm just going to talk about a little bit right now about relationship with the mother of our child. I mean, we're no matter what happened, if we're divorced or still together, we're going to be mom and dad for a long time, right? We're going to be mom and dad for right forever, and there's that like that's just not going to go away, and um, I'm just going to turn this on so I can see if I've got some. Yeah, so we're going to be mom and dad for a long time together. There has to be trust. There just has to be. I was talking to Sheila today, and Sheila and I have a son together, and we're friends, and our son's grown up, but I remember just when Regan was born, I was already in recovery a long time, 12, 13 years, but still I was still pretty grossly self-centered, and unaware, you know, and just not considerate of what was going on. I mean, mom, the mother of my children, the mother of all of our children, have a different level of commitment than we do. We're going to talk about that in the program. They have a different level of commitment. We're involved. And in the beginning, some of us may have not even known we were involved. We were like, "Oh my God, we're pregnant," um, so we're 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 involved in a different way. But when a woman is growing a baby um, inside of her, she's committed. It's a different experience, fellas, and and whether it's however it comes together, whether it's genetic or whatever, there's a real urge to defend and take care of that child. It's like beyond anything that we as men know, I believe. Yes, we protect our kids, and we're, but it's a different level. So um, the whole idea of becoming aware of who the mother of our children are, and their relationship with the children, and becoming, you know, conscious of that, and recognizing that we have, you know, especially if we were in our drinking years and using years as addicts and alcoholics, especially if we've really broken the trust. How do we break the trust? Oh, a million ways we broke it. We didn't show up. You know, we said we were going to be there, and we were late. We didn't feed them properly. I mean, it's just a million ways. I remember this thing with Sheila. We were just talking about it today. We kind of laughed about it today, but at the time, wow. So Sheila and I were divorced, and it was this, you know, my second marriage, and Regan was just a little guy, and maybe he was 3 or so. And I would come and pick him up. I spent, you know, had lots of time with him, and I'd come and pick him up. But one time I came back to the house, and I didn't have him. I think you know, he was supposed to be in a car seat in the back of the car, and I think I had him in the front of the car, and I don't even think I had a seatbelt on. Wow, it was a big deal, you know, it really was. But I didn't, you know, I was oblivious. I was like, oh shit. I remember when we were kids, we used to fly around in the back seat. We'd be up in the back window and all of those things, you know. But the world had changed, and I wasn't paying attention. And there he was in the front seat. And to me, it was okay. But I sure learned that we broke the trust, right? It was not. And we laughed about it today, but boy, she was going to call the police. She was upset. Boom! Don't you mess with my son. And so we're going to go into that. We're going to go deep into it in the course. That, you know, relationship with mom, with the mother of our children, is really, really, it's crucial. You know, we're going to be parenting together, even if you're divorced, even if, you know, it's gone really sour. We're going to look at how do we repair the trust in that, and you know, we may also look at the relationship with our own mothers at the same time. Where are we? You know, where did this begin? You know, or even a relationship on a broader scale with women, and you know, where's the, you know, maybe we weren't brought up with a lot of respect, and we're going to look at that, and it's a big one. You know, I'm like, holy shit, that's a big topic. But in every man, there's this piece, you know, that it hardly gets talked about. So, you know, here we are raising sons and daughters, you know, and how do we want them to be with the men and women in their life? You know, we don't only want to break the chain of addiction and alcoholism in our families, but we want to break the chain of dishonesty or fear or disrespect that has been cultured in. Many of us, especially if you're, you know, older, we, you know, had maybe a locker room attitude towards our relationships with women, and it carried into the relationship with the mother of our child, and you know, and so we're going to talk about all those things. So what do you think of that? So this is, we're starting. There's a bunch of stuff, you know. I've got the modules are written. Another one that we're going into is asking for help. Oh my gosh, you know, every addict and alcoholic knows how hard it is to ask for help. You know, we'd sooner die. We almost did. If you're in recovery, you'll know how hard it was to say, come into a 12-step program or reach out and say, you know, geez, I'm in trouble here. And I remember one time I was almost drowning, literally almost drowning. And my son Luke was really, really young, and maybe 6 or 7. He was a big boy, but he was 6 or 7 or 8 years old, and we were in a lake down in southern BC, and I was trying. He was really. We're in deep water. And just as an example of how hard it is to ask for help, we're in deep water, and he was pushing me under, and I was trying to get him to this raft that was in the middle of the lake, and and I was taking on water. I really was. And I remember my buddy Danny was on the raft, and I said, "Dad," and I just remember I said, "Dad, I'm in a little trouble here," and I was drowning. So it's hard, you know. Anyway, Danny jumped in and helped us out, but it's not easy to ask for help, and we're going to look at why is that, you know, and because none of us are here on our own, you know, and it's not just that we're asking for help of each other, but we're, you know, as we in the 12th step world, we have a relationship with a higher power, and we learn to rely on that and ask for help and listen to intuition, and not be running the show from the ego, from the, you know, the bondage of self. So asking for help, baby, that's one of the modules, and there'll be another one around relationship with dad, you know, our own father, and how do we see ourselves as dads? You know, have we maybe got a low opinion of men? Maybe we don't trust men. Maybe we don't trust ourselves, you know, or maybe we were brought up, a lot of us were brought up in homes where our moms, you know, didn't like our dads and said things, you know, that happened in my home. My mom was not happy with my dad, and said a lot of shit, and you know, I was a little boy, and there was damage that came from that. I didn't know how to take those things that she said, and so have I carried that into my life and into my relationships and into my job as a dad? Maybe. So we're going to look at that stuff. Pretty cool, eh? So anyway, if you've listened to this and you can see the, you know, the men, dads in recovery, which is kind of my focus. It's really, you know, I can own that. That's me. And I've worked with hundreds of men over the years that are dads in recovery, and so it's just a very natural. I'm truly blessed, I think, to be, you know, asked to do this, or, you know, and I wasn't really asked. Nobody asked me. It just kind of showed up. So I guess I was asked in a different way. I'm grateful to be able to do this, and you know, the other thing I just wanted to mention about asking for help. You know, there's sometimes it's hard to ask for help because we actually don't want the answer. You know, we don't want to know. We kind of enjoy living in blissful ignorance. But if we're a dad and we want to build trust and be able to be there in a loving way for our kids into their adulthood, you know, as needed, you know, we have to venture into some of this territory and really look at ourselves. Self-discovery, baby. You know, but you know, if you're looking at this, you're a dad in recovery and you're thinking, shit, I don't want to look at those relationships. I don't want to. Well, maybe it's time. You know, it's part, I think, of maturing, of growing up, when we see, you know, who we've been, and then, you know, we're able to let go of our anger that we've had towards maybe that, you know, the mother of our children, or let go of the anger we may have had towards our own mother, right? Yeah, and just come into this whole and available, conscious parenting, being a conscious dad. So we start next Tuesday. There's room for a few more guys, and if you're interested, this tweaks your interest. If you're a dad in recovery, and give me a call, get in touch, or share this, and you know, yeah, I think there's a lot of men that this is going to speak to. Okay, love you guys lots, and thank you for listening. And yeah, it's actually doing this has really been great for me. I'm in a whole road of self-discovery as well. You know, ego says, "Who do you think you are?" Well, I don't know. I'm just letting this happen through me. Okay. Love you lots. Bye.